y a si longtemps déjà. J'ai oublié comment. Tant de mots, de moments pensés depuis longtemps. Devant ce mur muet.
Hello, and welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I'm also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram and Cat Hair Knitting on Ravelry. I'm coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, where I live with my partner, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats. So a big warm welcome to all new viewers and a big welcome back to all returning viewers. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to spend with me. So if this is your first time here, this is primarily a knitting podcast. However, I do talk about some of the other crafts I'm delving into at the time, such as cross stitch and crochet. And before I jump right into the knitting and making talk, I just want to say a big thank you to all of the podcasters that have been mentioning my podcast on theirs recently. That's what I think I love so much about the knitting community, is that we're all kind of there to lift each other up and support one another and you know, bring attention to other makers, which I think is so fantastic. So with that, I would also like to draw your attention to a podcast that I've been watching recently. It's fairly new. It's called the Burka Creations Podcast, and the host is Sophia. She's located in Transylvania. Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching her podcast. She likes to work with the Burka wool, which is a local sheep to her area. So she's done a lot of beautiful test knits. Yeah, she's got a lot of lovely makes, and her videography of the local area is so pretty and just really inspiring and relaxing. So I highly recommend that you check her out. Another podcast that is fairly new that I'd like to draw your attention to is called Fibre Stories Podcast, and the host of that one is Michell. And she is on an amazing creating journey where she's delving into the world of natural dyeing and spinning and using lots of rustic yarns and creating just lovely, beautiful objects and pieces. So I really recommend that you check out her podcast. That's Fibre Stories, and I will link down below for everything that I talk about. Moving on, I am currently wearing my Felix pullover, which I knit earlier this year. It's been knit up out of Michell. It's called Michell Baby Suri Roving, and it's a combination of Baby Suri alpaca, merino, and silk. And it is so warm. I took it for a bit of a test drive the other day. I went out walking with just the sweater on. I did have like a little tank top underneath because it's a bit of a crop top, so I have to wear a tank top underneath. So I did wear a tank top, but I went for a walk around the neighborhood, and it was for quite a while. Like I was outside for about half an hour. And I believe it was about, I would say it was about 0 or -1 degrees Celsius. So it was chilly, and yeah, kept me completely warm. The only thing that was cold on me were my hands, because I wasn't wearing any mittens or fingerless mitts or anything, and my legs because I was wearing jeans. But yeah, my whole upper body was kept nice and toasty warm. So highly recommend. The only thing that is a little annoying, I could say, about this yarn is that because it's a roving, it's non-twisted, like I guess it's not spun, it pills a lot. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like a lot of pilling going on, and that happened like after the very first wear. Even when I was knitting it, it was starting to pill. So not a huge deal. I just have to invest in a gleaner, which I don't currently have, but yeah, still recommend the yarn. It's lovely. And I can't wait to see it, but my mom just finished knitting a cardigan out of the same yarn, but in a red color, like a cranberry color. I can't wait to see that. All right, so let's move into finished objects. I have not 1, but 2 for you today. So first off, I know it's not a big surprise because I was almost done it on the last episode, but I have finished my Ranunculus. Full disclosure, it has not been washed, blocked, or the ends woven in, as per true Nikki style, but I really love it, and I can't wait to wear it. So this is, as I mentioned, this is my summer version of the Ranunculus. I plan on making one for each season. This is the one with obviously the short sleeves. I did do the larger neckline, although it's not that large. I've seen others that have been way larger. I knit so there's two patterns now. Midori Hirose, the pattern designer, has come out with a second pattern that complements the first. It's basically for larger busts. So I used the second pattern, I think 46-inch bust, to kind of alter the pattern to make it a bit larger in the chest area. Although it is plenty large enough. It's quite roomy, as you can see. If I hold it up here, it's got lots of space. And it's a cropped version, so it is meant to be worn for myself. I'm going to be wearing it over top of a linen dress that I purchased earlier in the year. So yeah, that is my Ranunculus. Happy to have that done and off the needle so I can focus on other projects. So my second finished object, I actually do not have with me because it's already been given away. So my daughter's daycare is doing a homeless drive whereby every day you're encouraged to bring in a different type of item. So they give you a list of, what item you should bring in on each day. And then by the end of it, they're going to be filling up these backpacks with all of the items and actually taking to the streets and giving them to homeless people on the streets. And the kids in the older grades and parents are encouraged to participate. So I'm totally looking forward to that. So I knit a hat. And the hat that I knit is called the Skyhill. It's actually featured on the cover of the book that I used. So this is Knits About Winter by Emily Foden, and this is the Skyhill hat. I'll pop in a picture. I did take a picture before I donated the hat. I'll pop in the picture now so you can see what it looked like. So there are two versions of the hat in the book. So you can knit like a taller hat, which I think is featured on the cover here, or a shorter version. And I did the shorter version, and I omitted the baubles. So there are a little, there's a little round of baubles at the crown. I chose not to do those. So those are kind of the only two changes that I made, I guess. And then the yarn that I used was yarn that I've had in my stash for quite a few years now, which I was happy to start putting to use. It's a Sugarspun by Loops and Threads, and I don't even believe, I think it's been discontinued. You can't get this yarn anymore, but I had 2 sweaters quantities worth of it. So it's it's an acrylic wool blend. It's quite soft, and I believe can you wash it? Machine washable and dryable. So because it has the acrylic in it, I guess it doesn't felt. So that's great. I use this a lot for baby knits and gifts for people that, may not be up for hand washing items that I give to them. So I thought that was a good option for the hat. So that's what it's been knit out of. So that's the Skyhill hat by Emily Foden. So moving on into my first work in progress, because we're already talking about the yarn, I am making a pair of mittens. So in the Knits About Winter book, there are matching mittens for the Skyhill hat. Let's see if I can find a picture of them. There they are. And I did initially start knitting those up, but they were just taking me too long. I don't know why, but it was really slow going. Although they were super squishy, I kind of regret not finishing. But because they're also garter stitched, just like the hat, so they're super squishy and soft. But yeah, I opted, because they were taking so long, I just opted to rip out and start over with Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mittens. So that's what I have here. So I'm just finishing up the thumb. I just did a 1x1, looks like twisted rib cuff. And yeah, I just followed the pattern. The pattern is a free pattern. I've made it several times in the past. It's very straightforward. I do recommend it. And yeah, so this is the first mitten. I still have a second one to do. And I think I have to have that done for next Thursday. So these don't take long to make. I could probably make, if I had sat down and really focused on them, I probably would have had them done in like a day or two. So that is my first work in progress and a new cast on. Oh, sorry. And oh, and I should mention the Skyhill hat was actually a really quick knit too. It only took me, well, it took me 2 days, but like that's because I was working all day. And so 2 nights really to finish. So that did not take long. And I think I might knit one for myself. I do like the pattern. I think I might do the taller version for myself though. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to my next work in progress. I have housed in my bee bag, 2 at a time sock knitting bag by My Needle Crafts. Are my 2 at a time vanilla Christmas socks for my partner. So let's do this here. I am really sorry if you can hear background noise. I'm in the basement, so I get the joys of hearing all the water running and the furnace kicking on and off, and so I really apologize if it's distracting. So this progress keeper shows where I was last time. So I did quite a bit. I put in the heels. I did a heel flapping gusset, just a slip stitch. And I'm now decreasing. And then I will just be knitting around for the foot. I did a 2x2 twisted rib for the cuff. And as I mentioned before, I just used the stripes as a kind of a guide. So I just stopped when I got to this black stripe. Yeah, so I definitely have enough to finish his socks. This is one cake. I have 2 of these. I'm just hoping that I have enough left over to do my youngest's socks. And so what I think I'm going to have to do to ensure that I get a full sock out of the deal is, and I don't have to worry about it, is I'll probably just do an afterthought heel sock for the next pair. So I'll just knit the rest of this, whatever's left, I'll just knit in tubes. And yeah, I'll probably do toe up and then just knit the entire cake until I get to, near the end and start do the ribbing for the cuff. And then I can just put in an afterthought heel. And that way I will make sure that I use up every last yard of the yarn. So yeah, oh, I should mention the yarn, right? I feel like I'm out of practice today. So this yarn is by Timber Yarns. It is an 80-20 sock yarn. Pretty sure it's 80-20. Yeah. And the colorway is called Ho Ho Ho, and it actually comes in 2 separate skeins. So it's called I think Perfect Pair. No, is it called Perfect Pair? Something like that. So they give you 2 skeins that are exactly the same. They're 2 50-gram skeins, and you can use those to knit simultaneously, and you end up with the exact same socks. So that's why my stripes all match up nicely. And I did purchase a mini as well for the heels in this colorway. I think it's just called dark green. So yeah, I fully anticipate having at least this pair done for Christmas. And my partner's been wearing the heck out of his other socks that I've knit him. He only has 2 pairs left now. He had another pair, but as I think I may have explained, yeah, on my very first episode, that he accidentally washed them and they felted and shrunk. And even after that, he just continued to wear them until he couldn't anymore. So yeah, I really do need to get him some more socks. Okay, next work in progress. My Swallowtail, I really didn't get a lot done on it. But progress is progress, and there may be some new viewers out there that may not have seen this before, so I figured I'd show it anyways. Sorry, it's absolute disaster. Okay, this is my Swallowtail. It's a pattern by Jamie Hoffman, Knitosophy. It is being knit, it's being knit up out of Georgian Bay Fibre Co. yarn, which is a local to me yarn dyer. So she is based out of Sudbury. And the colorways, I'll just show you the cakes here. Colorways are vintage lace. The rust color is called Noble Rust. The dark brown, oh, where's the cake? There, a ball. That is called Wrought Iron. And then the yellow at the top is called Franklin Lichen. Very beautiful colors. Yeah, and I'm not, this is in no way, I'm not endorsed or anything like that, but I do highly recommend her yarn. It's beautiful. The colors are just, I don't know, they're just so rich. Like, oh, it doesn't show up nearly as nice on the camera. But yeah, like they're gorgeous. So, whoops, dropping stitches. Yeah, she's actually having a sale right now, I believe it's still on, for 15% off some of her winter colors. Yeah, I may have placed an order. I couldn't resist. Anyways, yeah, so if you're interested, check her out. Yeah, so I wanted to say, because I forgot to mention this the last time I was talking about this, when I got to the body. So I have been, I've been doing helical knitting to alternate skeins, but you can see, okay, so first I should back up. I have 3 skeins of this rust color. 2 of them are pretty similar, although one's definitely a little bit lighter than the other. And then the third one is quite a bit different, like it's a much more reddy, I would say. So obviously I didn't want to, like I want to make sure that the body is fairly uniform. I didn't want there to be, you know, definite ending to one color and beginning of another color. So what I've done in the past is that I will typically just start knitting with a single color. And I don't know if you can see here. So the rust starts about here. So I started knitting just with one ball through the color work. One color. And then I knit, usually I'll knit a little bit further, so I'll try and get, what I'm trying to do is stagger the balls so that I'm not just combining 2 at the start and then I run out of those 2 and then have to start with a third one that's going to be on its own kind of thing. So I'm trying to stagger the colors so that there's, you know, variation throughout, I guess is the way to explain it. So yeah, so I knit straight down and you can kind of see like where it pooled on me, right here especially. So I don't know, I kept looking at it and I'm like, does it bother me that much? I don't think it bothers me that much. I think it's okay. And then you can see down below, I started alternating right after I realized it was pooling. I'm like, oh, I better start alternating with a new color so we don't get that. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys, I would love to know what you guys do when you're alternating skeins, especially if you have 3. How do you deal with them? The other thing I need to do is make sure, because I've used the darker one, as I mentioned, there's the one skein that's a lot darker and more red. I've used part of it in the body, and now I have to make sure that I don't use it all up because I need to save some for the sleeves, right? Because I want the sleeves to match as well. Oh, we'll see, I guess. The joys of working with hand-dyed, say. I don't mind, like I typically don't mind alternating. It's not that big a deal. I just want it to turn out okay. So yeah, and that is housed in my Jezebel bag. Which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I think I may have, but it's reversible. So it's brown and this is a denim, like a really dark denim at the bottom, but you could reverse it and have it be, I think it's all white. Yeah, it would be all white. It's kind of cool. Okay, and then my last work in progress is my Woodlark, which I'm still working on. I know that Naomi and Zoe from the Yarn Curator and Felicity Yarn Studio podcasts have already finished theirs, and they're ready for steeking. I am not ready yet, but it only has to be steeked by the end of the year, so I do have a few weeks left. So yeah, this is the Woodlark shawl. It is a steeked shawl pattern. Let's see. Yeah, it is a pattern by Larka of Fibre Tales podcast. Okay, sorry, I was just looking for my progress keeper. Here we go. So it's up here. I'm on the last color work section. So I have a few more rows of this. I think there's only like 6 rows, maybe 6 rows to go, and then I'm done. Then I bind off. Then I have to steek, of course. But yeah, and these are, I show this every time, but these are the steek stitches down the center here. So that's where you're going to cut open to create the shawl, because it's knit in the round, which is awesome. Doing color work in the round is a lot more handy than back and forth. Although I will say at the bottom, I'm now at some rounds that have purls in them. Like there's every second round is purling, so that's slow going. And I will fully admit that I was catching my floats the entire way until I got to the purling. And then at the bottom, I'm no longer catching my floats because it's just, I find it too cumbersome when I'm on a purl stitch, because it's not just purling the whole row, it's purling only the dark stitches, like the contrast color. So then you have to switch to knitting. So it's just too hard for me to do. So it is what it is. Anyways, I should have this done by next podcast. Oh, and the yarn, of course, is by Small Bird Workshop, which is I looked her up. She's in Nanaimo, BC, in Canada, British Columbia. And the yarn is a 75-25 BFL Gotland mix. So beautiful, non-superwash. And the colorways are, this color is the natural color, and then the contrast color is called Ink. Yeah, really loving it. Can't wait to put it to use. As I mentioned, it's getting pretty chilly here in the basement, so I cannot wait to get this off the needles and start using it, especially while I'm working. So yeah, I think that's my last work in progress. And oh, this is housed in a bag, really cheap bag that I got at Michael's. I think it was like $12 Canadian. I just liked it because it had, they look like dandelions to me. Okay, so, yeah, lastly, we'll move into acquisitions. And I do have some. So, Natural You, which is a natural hand dyer of yarn in Bracebridge, Ontario, had a sale recently. So I purchased a mini skein set that I've had my eye on for quite some time. So here it is in the package. The mini skein set is called Fresh Cut Grass. And like I mentioned, it's all naturally hand dyed. It is superwash. It's an 85-15 superwash merino nylon, so for socks. And these are, I think they're, what did it say, 20 gram? Yeah, 20 gram minis. Look at the colors though, aren't they so pretty? This is like a dusty pink, and there's like a speckly one that kind of ties in all the other colors. This is a beautiful pale yellow. It's like a darker yellow and a green. they're so pretty. So I purchased this set, and I also purchased one of their beautifully naturally dyed project bags, which I didn't do it intentionally, but the colors match perfectly. It's so pretty. And what I didn't notice originally, and it may have said on the website, but I just didn't see it. I'm just gonna put these down here. But the project bag is actually reversible. So you just pull it inside out. It is now brown and green. Isn't that cool? So depending on how you feel or what your project colors are or whatever, you can match it. So I thought that was really nice. So it doesn't have any pockets in it or anything like that. And it is fairly deep, but it's beautiful. These colors are so pretty. So yeah, it's called the Big Boxy Bag. 100% eco-dyed organic cotton lined with upcycled fabrics. And here's their lovely little card, Natural You. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make a beautiful pair of stripy socks out of these lovelies. And they smell so nice. Smell like some kind of a wool wash or something. Yeah, so those are my acquisitions for this time around. So other than that, in terms of life stuff, we haven't been up to too much. I'm still working from home. I have 2 more weeks, and then I'm off for 2 whole weeks, which I cannot even tell you how much I'm looking forward to. And I will be knitting my little butt off during those 2 weeks, because I still have a few things I need to get done. Today I think we're gonna go out and finally get our Christmas tree. So we get a real tree every year. So we made the mistake of getting a real tree too early in the year one time, and all of the needles, pretty much, not all of the needles, but a significant number of the needles fell off before Christmas. So that was kind of annoying. So excuse me 1 minute. Down. Thank you. Yeah, so we're gonna go get our Christmas tree and decorate it, obviously. We have all of our decorations up outside already. We've put up some lights and a garland, like of greenery, and a wreath. Looks really festive, pretty. We actually did that like, oh my goodness, I think we did that in November. Well, we must have, because it only just turned into December. Yeah, we did that like 2 weeks ago or so. Yeah, it just feels like this time around, this year, we just need more happiness in our lives earlier, and the earlier the better. I don't know. Just 2020 has been a doozy. Yeah, so other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and I'm thinking of some ideas. So let me know down below too. First off, I love reading all of your comments. So please feel free to leave comments or ask me questions or whatever down below. I always try to make a habit of responding as quick as possible. So I'm thinking of potential knit-alongs. Excuse me for one more second. Cat's driving me crazy. Yeah, so I was thinking of, what do you think of this idea? If you like it, leave a comment down below, or if you have any other suggestions, please let me know. But I was thinking of doing like a world knits knit-along, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to think of a better name for it. But essentially what I'm thinking or envisioning is we all, either everyone involved knits a pattern or using a yarn from their local area. So we could do country or even, I don't know, province, state, something like that. See, can't see this. See if I can. My cat has climbed into the basket. This guy's driving me crazy. He's the reason I keep having to stop, because he's jumping up onto my computer. Okay, he's just gonna, oh, no, he's gone. That was Sammy. He's a little spazzy. Anyways, leave your thoughts below. I'm happy to, to discuss whatever you guys think might work. I love the idea of doing knit-alongs and, doing something communally. And the whole reason I chose the whole world idea was just because I thought it'd be nice to learn about yarns that are local to other areas than myself. Like, I know I'm always trying to showcase, Canadian yarns on my podcast, but I would love to see other people's yarns that are local to them as well. And designers. All right, so I think I'll leave it there, and I hope everyone has a wonderful December. Hopefully I'll be podcasting in 2 weeks, and if not, then I'll catch you guys on the new year. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Bye.